The curtains parted, and the Tonight Show stage sprang to life under a cascade of vibrant lights. Jimmy Fallon bounding out with a spring in his step, his grin a beacon of warmth that instantly hooked the room. Across from him sat Elon Musk, the tech titan whose aura blended restless genius with a subtle edge. His posture, casual yet taut, a man who thrived in the glare of attention. The audience, a spirited mix of fans and late-night revelers, crackled with energy, their cheers and claps a prelude to the fun they expected, unaware that the night would soon ignite into chaos. What began as a breezy chat spiraled into a humiliating sting, a spark that would drive Musk to explode off stage, handing Fallon a victory no one predicted. Fallon launched in with his usual zest, tossing out a hearty welcome before steering the talk to Musk's latest quirky venture, a personal robot billed as the next big thing in everyday life. His tone danced with playfulness, his questions poking at the bot's oddities, like its penchant for spouting random facts mid. Musk leaned forward, his voice steady and assured, framing the gadget as a game-changer, a glimpse into a future where tech eased the mundane. His pitch polished with a dreamer's flair. Fallon nodded, his smile stretching, then tossed a zinger, suggesting the robot was just Musk's stand-in for his own eccentricities, a quip wrapped in a chuckle. Was this innovation, or a rich guy's gimmick run amok? Who'd let a machine built by a tweetstorm king run their day? The vibe shifted. As Fallon's jabs rolled on, his humor probing deeper, nudging Musk's knack for bold ideas that sometimes crashed hard. He dredged up a past misfire, a splashy unveil that flopped, his mimicry of the robot's stiff salute drawing giggles from the crowd. Musk's laugh grew thin, his retort clipped, insisting the setbacks were fuel for progress. That risk was the price of greatness others couldn't fathom. Fallon pressed further, his eyes alight with mischief, wondering aloud if Musk's bots might one day take his place, a jest that hit like a quiet bomb. Did Musk miss the punchline, or was he too wrapped in his vision to join the fun? The audience erupted, some whooping, others tensing, the air thickening with a teasing bite. By the first break, the stage hummed with an undercurrent of strain. Musk's polish had worn thin, his fingers tapping restlessly, his stare darting, as if weighing his next move. Fallon lounged back, his chuckles masking the fuse he'd lit, his gift for levity now a prod at Musk's ego. What had been a silly chat had split open a divide, Musk's swagger tangling with Fallon's relentless mirth, the audience straddling the fault line. The room pulsed. Could Musk shrug off the ribbing, or would Fallon's barbs strike too close? As the lights faded, the tension coiled, the night teetering on the brink of a blowout. The commercial break ended, and the Tonight Show studio flared back into view, the lights casting a warm, electric sheen over the set, the air thick with the tension that had simmered through the pause and now threatened to boil over. Jimmy Fallon lounged at his desk, his grin still bright but his eyes twinkling with a sharper edge, a host who'd stumbled into a live wire and was ready to play with it. Elon Musk sat across from him, his earlier ease replaced by a taut stillness, his hands gripping the armrests, his jaw clenched as if holding back a storm. The audience, their earlier cheers, now a hushed buzz, leaned in, their anticipation a palpable hum, their laughter from the first segment fading into a mix of curiosity and unease. What had been a playful jab before the break now escalated into a full-on humiliation, a spark that would ignite Musk's explosive unraveling, sending him storming off stage and leaving Fallon to reign triumphant. Fallon didn't miss a beat, diving back into the fray with a chuckle that masked the sting beneath, his voice lilting as he circled back to Musk's robot, the quirky invention that had kicked off their chat. He replayed his earlier tease, suggesting the bot was Musk's double, a mechanical twin for a man too busy dreaming to live. But this time he layered it on thicker, his tone dripping with mock awe as he wondered aloud if it could mimic Musk's late-night tweeting sprees. The crowd erupted, their laughter a rolling wave, but Musk's smile was gone, his eyes narrowing as he shot back, his voice tight, insisting the robot was a leap forward, not a punchline. That Fallon couldn't grasp the scope of what he was building. Fallon tilted his head, his giggle a dagger, asking if Musk thought the world needed more of him, robot or not, a quip that landed like a slap. The exchange surged, a dance of jest and jab that grew sharper with each step, the stage a tightrope, stretched taut between Fallon's glee and Musk's rising heat. The host leaned forward, his questions veering from playful to pointed, prodding Musk's track record, the string of bold ventures that had dazzled and stumbled in equal measure. He dredged up a Tesla glitch that had gone viral, a car feature that misfired spectacularly. His impression of the botched demo drawing roars from the audience, their claps punctuating each beat. Musk's face darkened, his retort clipped and forceful, arguing that innovation meant breaking things, that Fallon's cheap shots ignored the lives his work had changed. Fallon didn't flinch, his eyes wide with feigned innocence as he asked if Musk's robots would break too, maybe zap their owners mid-trivia, a barb that sliced deeper than the last. The crowd's laughter swelling into a tide that drowned Musk's defense. The tension built, each word a brick in a wall that boxed Musk in, his cool eroding under Fallon's relentless cheer. The host pivoted, his tone still light but his aim precise, questioning Musk's obsession with the future, suggesting it was less about saving humanity and more about escaping it. A dig at the mogul's Mars dreams that hit a raw nerve. Musk's hands balled into fists, his voice rising, accusing Fallon of turning a serious mission into a circus, of mocking what he couldn't understand. The audience gasped, some giggling nervously, others shifting in their seats, as Musk's anger flared, his words a jagged edge that cut through Fallon's levity. The host leaned back, his chuckle unfazed, tossing out a quip about Musk's temper needing its own robot nanny, a line that tipped the scales from tease to torment. The room erupting in a mix of cheers and stunned murmurs. The breaking point crashed in like a wave, the strain snapping as Musk leaped to his feet, his chair tipping back with a clatter that echoed through the studio, his composure shattering into a furious roar. He ripped off his mic, the cord whipping free, and unleashed a tirade, his voice booming as he called Fallon a giggling fool, a lightweight who thrived on humiliation, his accusations a chaotic swirl of pride and rage. The crowd froze, their breath held, as Musk's outburst spiraled, his finger jabbing the air, his face flushed with a fury that seemed to shake the set. Fallon stood too, his grin unwavering, shouting back that Musk couldn't take a joke, that exploding didn't make him right. Musk didn't pause, his glare searing as he turned and stormed off, his footsteps pounding a furious rhythm, disappearing into the wings as the audience burst into a cacophony of cheers, boos, and wild applause. The chaos, a testament to the night's unraveling. The uproar of Elon Musk's exit still thrummed through the Tonight Show studio as the lights steadied. The audience a roiling sea of emotion, their cheers and gasps blending into a chaotic symphony that pulsed against the walls. Jimmy Fallon stood at his desk, his chest heaving from the sheer adrenaline of the moment. His grin a mix of shock and delight, a host who'd unwittingly lit a fuse and now faced the blaze. The crew darted backstage, their frantic whispers crackling through headsets, their movements a blur as they grappled with the fallout, while the crowd remained riveted, some leaping to their feet, others clutching their seats, all caught in the wake of a spectacle that had turned a comedy spot into a battlefield. Musk's explosive departure had left the stage wide open, and Fallon, with his quicksilver charm, seized it, turning the night's chaos into a victory lap that would echo far beyond the studio. Behind the scenes, the pandemonium was a storm, unto itself, a whirlwind of shouts and scurrying feet as the production team raced to keep pace with the unraveling drama. Word spread like wildfire through the corridors. Musk hadn't just stormed off. He'd barreled past the green room, shoving aside a startled stagehand, his coat flapping as he barked at his team to get him out, his voice a raw edge of fury that sliced through the usual backstage hum. Insiders murmured he'd been on edge from the start, pacing before the taping, his phone buzzing with texts, his mood a tight coil wound by Fallon's unpredictable energy. The host's jabs, meant as playful barbs, had struck deeper than intended, peeling back Musk's polished veneer to reveal a man unaccustomed to being the butt of the joke. His exit, a desperate lunge to reclaim control he'd already lost. On stage, Fallon didn't hesitate, his instincts kicking in as he turned to the audience, his voice slicing through the din with a warmth that belied the storm he'd unleashed. He didn't crow over Musk's retreat, didn't lean on the easy thrill of a faux down, instead launching into a riff that spun the meltdown into comedy gold, his tone a blend of glee and disbelief that pulled the crowd along. He recapped the clash with a performer's flair, replaying Musk's robot defense, the way his temper flared at the nanny quip, the mic hitting the floor with a clang that still rang in their ears. The audience roared, their laughter a release, then a cheer, as Fallon painted Musk as a genius who couldn't hack a giggle, a titan toppled by a jest too sharp. He lingered on the exit, the stomping fury, framing it as a punchline with a wink, the room shaking with their approval. The segment unfolded like a masterclass, Fallon weaving the night's rupture into a tale of resilience, his humor a lifeline that tethered the chaos to something joyful. He mocked the outburst's drama, likening it to a sci-fi villain raging at a glitchy droid, then pivoted to the heart of it, the fragility of those who couldn't laugh at themselves. The crowd fed off his rhythm, their gasps turning to guffaws, their applause a wave that crashed through the studio, a shared thrill in watching him flip a disaster into a win. He didn't rush, didn't overplay the victory, letting the moment stretch, his pauses drawing them deeper into a vibe that felt electric, infectious. By the next break, the narrative had shifted. Musk's explosion was a footnote, Fallon's command, the headline, a triumph forged in the heat of a night that could have crumbled but instead soared. The final break dissolved, and the Tonight Show studio roared back to life, the lights flooding the set with a radiant warmth that seemed to pulse through the very air. The audience, a swirling tide of exhilaration, their voices a vibrant hum that bounced off the walls. Jimmy Fallon stood at his desk, his posture relaxed, yet brimming with an unshakable confidence, his grin stretching wide across his face, a beacon of joy that radiated outward. a host who'd waltzed through a whirlwind and come out, not just standing, but soaring. Elon Musk's explosive exit lingered in the room like a faint tremor, a memory overtaken by the crowd's fervor, their focus locked on Fallon, their anticipation a living current. Their earlier shock transformed into a thunderous wave of approval, eager to see how he'd seal a night that had shattered every mold. With the stage his to own, Fallon didn't merely end the show, he crowned it with a triumph that tied every thread into a bold, unshakable knot, a victory as dazzling as the spotlight that framed him. He didn't lean on Musk's absence, didn't chase the cheap thrill of a vanquished guest, or replay the meltdown for easy points. Instead, he stepped into the moment with a grace that filled the space, his voice a steady stream of warmth as he riffed on the night's unexpected arc, his words a gentle nod to the chaos that had unfolded without resting on its wreckage. He spoke of laughter, of the spark that kept a room alive even when tempers flared, his tone light yet layered with the quiet strength of a man who'd turned a stumble into a strut. The audience leaned in, their chuckles soft and heartfelt, a collective breath as Fallon wove the night's madness into a celebration of resilience, his humor a bridge that carried them from tension to triumph, a journey they'd taken together. He didn't name Musk, didn't need to. The empty chair beside him was a silent monument, a testament to a win carved out of wit and unwavering cheer. Beyond the studio's walls, the fallout was a full-blown tempest, a digital blaze that lit up screens across the globe, clips of Musk's mic drop and furious stomp racing through feeds, dissected by viewers, pundits, and comics with a that matched the night's heat. Online, the noise was deafening, some hailing Musk's raw passion, others crowing over Fallon's deft takedown. The internet a battleground of memes, threads, and viral snippets that turned the clash into a cultural flashpoint. Musk's team floundered, their curt statements a weak dam against a flood they couldn't hold back, the narrative slipping through their fingers. Fallon's initial jest, now the cornerstone of a route that redefined the night. Back on stage, the host shifted gears with ease, ushering in a musical guest whose lively strums filled the air, a buoyant wave that washed over the crowd, softening the earlier edge into a glow of shared joy. The audience swayed, their applause a rhythmic heartbeat, their cheers weaving through the notes, the night's intensity melting into a communal victory they could taste. A moment that felt as much theirs as Fallon's as the clock wound toward its close. Fallon took his final stand, alone under the beaming lights, his presence a magnetic force that held the room in thrall, his charm a thread that stitched the night into something whole. He didn't circle back to the clash, didn't need to gloat. His win was the show itself, a seamless flow from jest to jubilation that stood tall without a crutch. He thanked the crowd, his voice rich with sincerity, his eyes dancing as he lingered on their energy, soaking in the connection that had carried them through. He cracked a final quip, a nod to the wild ride they'd shared, then leaned in close, his tone earnest as he urged them to keep the good vibes going, to smash that like button if they'd felt the rush, and to hit subscribe for more nights where laughter met lightning. The room detonated, a standing ovation that rattled the rafters, a tidal wave of sound that crashed over the set, a roaring tribute to a host who'd flipped a blowout into a blast of brilliance. The cameras panned wide, capturing the sea of faces, some still buzzing with adrenaline, others glowing with pride, all bound by a tale that ended crisp and complete. Fallon waved, the applause a warm embrace, and the screen faded to black. A perfect cap to a night that burned bright, its story sealed with the call to join the fun. Hey, if you loved this roller coaster, give us a like, hit that subscribe button, and stick around for more epic showdowns.